What's up, guys? Hugga Bones here, and here we are to talk about why Yuji still loses. Yeah, he still, like, for now, obviously this is very temporary, but, like, I ain't gonna lie. The Yuji slop, the Yuji meat riding, the Yuji toe tasting has kind of gotten a teeny tiny bit insane. So let's bring some logic back to our brains, and let's not get so inane. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Yuta Okkotsu does have it on him and keep it on him at all times. And obviously Yuji Todori, while he did not have it on him, he decided to keep it on him at all times the moment he unlocked the depths of his potential within chapter 257 of Jujutsu Kaisen, and started to wield the divine blades known as Cleave when he awoke to his true potential. And naturally, the question has begun. The question that has now started to plague the entire community. Has Yuji truly transcended? With the end of the chapter, especially 257, hyping up the ability to not just rival, but possibly even surpass the King of Curses, with Yuta Okkotsu being pretty inarguably the third strongest character in the verse, with some contention from the Kenjaku fans, some contention from the Kashimo fans, and everything in between, and obviously Yuji Todori's rapid ascension, and even feats that go on to later show themselves in 258, naturally questions started to arise. Questions of the potency of the certain blessed child, the one who struck back against the king against all odds, he who was considered the main dish by the King of Curses, who truly stands supreme at the end of the day, now that Yuji Todori has awoken, transcended into a higher level, a greater reality. And to this, I must say, yeah, Yuta still slams him. Sorry. But here's the thing. The main reason I'm so confident is because there are two major things. Number one, Yuta is not an incarnated sorcerer. And number two, Yuta Okkotsu has a domain expansion. Now, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Don't get me backwards. Don't get me twisted. Let's be real. Yuji Itadori has a domain counter. Absolutely and indubitably. He has symbol domain. And this is what has easily allowed him to fly to the moon and clear a lot of characters who you could once argue may have diffed him. Like, any sort of people who still have Jogo above Yuji, we can't be doing this no more. Any sort of people who still have Mahito above Yuji, we cannot be doing this no more. Anybody, dude, does anyone really have Hanami or Dagon above Yuji? Darn it, got me messing up my words. Above? Are they even in the... It was mainly Jogo and Mahito, out of the Disaster Curses. So, like, let's be real. Anybody who just had a domain, that used to be the main answer against Yuji. Oh, he just gets domain dish. But now he has an anti-domain counter, right? So that means that Mr. Yuta Okkotsu having a domain shouldn't be such a big deal, because he has an anti-domain counter. An anti-domain counter that lasted pretty well against a shrine that seemingly enough was stated in the chapter to be at full output. And of course, while Yuji Todori's symbol domain does shatter, it's very likely because Ryumen Sugino was focusing him. Like, focusing him. So, of course his domain would shatter. Like, he's still not Gojo level, obviously. And even Gojo's domain, his symbol domain at least shattered. And honestly, his regular domain too shattered under the weight of a level shrine. So, obviously, Yuji's would too. What does this change? Even if Yuta Okkotsu were to pop domain on Yuji Itadori's head, it wouldn't really matter all too much, would it? Here's the thing. Even if we were to argue that Yuji could hold symbol domain forever inside of Yuta's domain, let's just be generous. Once again, let's just unzip and say he's holding it forever. You know the big issue? Yuta Okkotsu doesn't have to stand there and watch him hold symbol domain. Yuta Okkotsu literally has a realm of infinite katanas to be smacking Yuji in the face with. And unfortunately, while symbol domain is confirmed, especially thanks to the battle with a certain strongest grade 1, symbol domain is confirmed to actually weaken the potency of certain attacks as they come into the range of the symbol domain. It doesn't do enough. At least not enough when Yuta Okkotsu is concerned. Because realize, Yuta would have free reign on Yuji to do whatever he wanted as long as Yuji's forced to hold simple domain. And here's the thing. You could definitely make an argument that maybe, just maybe, there's a possibility that Yuji has symbol domain of this tier. He did soul swap with Kusakabe. He was training that entire time. Wouldn't this be a pretty fantastic tactic against Yuta? Yeah, it would be. You know, if Yuta was, one, fighting alone, or two, if it was confirmed Yuji actually had this. We don't know. He never uses this sort of automatic domain expansion of his own auto attack technique that Kusakabe does. So until he does, I don't think we can give that to him. And the other big thing we ultimately can't give Yuji in this scenario is the fact that he would be able to survive if he were to ever drop symbol domain. Remember, he's not going to just be fighting Yuta, who will be hitting him with thin icebreakers, throwing out cursed speech at Broski when he's not expecting it, manipulating him, bending in the sky, doing all this kind of crazy stuff that Yuji will not be able to attack back during unless he wants to try to move out of that symbol domain position. But also, he's going to have to be dealing with a certain gigantic cursed spirit. Yeah, Rika Orimoto. You know the same Rika Orimoto that was pancaking, mollywhopping, throwing around, beating up and beasting all over the King of Curses? A King of Curses that is much stronger than a Yuji Itadori who's landing numerous Black Flashes, is barely able to make flinch? This Black Flash, unguarded, Sukuna goes literally nowhere and actually manages to land a Black Flash back. Of course, Yuji doesn't go anywhere himself, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And obviously, let's look at all the Black Flashes that Yuji does. Barely sends him back at all. He's still just fine in midair. Oh, let's see. Look, he got knocked back more by Ryu, the dragon, than any of Yuji's hits. Oop, another one. He doesn't get sent through a building here, though. He doesn't get knocked straight through a wall. So there's a little bit of recoil. But once again, that's a much, much, much weaker Sukuna than the one that a unmanifested. Remember, this is unmanifested Rika Orimoto. This is the same Rika who's throwing Yuji like a football, launching Sukuna around, making him jump, skip, hop, and trip everywhere. And remember, Yuji just seems to have regular symbol domain, where he needs to hold the pose. And you know what else is really, really bad for Yuji in this matchup? He actually made himself worse in terms of specifically this matchup as Yuta's only gotten better. Y'all remember what Yuta Okkotsu's sure hit was when he was dealing with Ryomen Sukuna, an incarnated player? Don't worry, if you forgot, I'm more than happy to remind you. It wasn't the thumbnail, but yeah, he has a certain type of application to his domain. You know, a certain teeny tiny. Oh yeah, Jacob's Ladder. You know what Jacob's Ladder is extremely effective on? Incarnated people. But you may be wondering, well, Pencil Man, Yuji isn't incarnated. Also, he's not evil. He's not an evil creature. He sacrificed all the Sukuna. Oh, what does 258 go out of its way to confirm in its flashback? Oh, yeah. Choso and Yuji now share the same body type. Yuji, while never actually being a DPW, now has gained the properties of a DPW. That's why his RCT is so efficient. You know what that means, though? He nippled his siblings. His biology has changed. He's now an evil creature. And that ignores the fact that he's already a walking, talking Sukuna finger, so he's double dangered down. That man is done. The moment a single Jacob Ladder hits that boy, when I tell you he is going to be hooking even worse than Sukuna did. Like, legitimately. Don't get me wrong. Sukuna still managed to have a little something. He was willing to risk it, gamble it, do a little something crazy with it. As we see earlier on in the chapter, he was more than willing to unclasp them hands, try a world cut and slash anyway, just to see. So we know that Jacob Ladder isn't an instant GG. But all it takes is Yuji to be knocked out of position once. And Yuta to not turn it off this time. Remember, Sukuna only got out of the stun lock because Yuta was kind enough to let him live and turn it off. If that doesn't happen, the moment Yuji gets knocked out by whether it be a thin icebreaker to a dome, whether it be Rika literally pulling his arms apart, whether it be Rika fully manifesting, whether it be whatever Yuta wants, bada bing, bada boom, Yuta spreads Yuji wide open and fries him for breakfast, lunch, and a little snack on the side. He may just be delicious. Scrumdiddlyumptious. You want to know what makes this even worse? You may be arguing, well, Pencil Man, what if there is no domain? Or what if the domain allows Yuji to fight back in one way, shape, or form? Like, let's say he's able to hold some domain and fight at the same time. He, once again, has that Kusakabe type strat where he does not need to actually hold still. There's no evidence to substantiate this, but let's go with that. Yeah, honestly, I still don't think Yuji's hitting hard enough to do real damage to Yuta. Mr. Yuta Okkotsu, who only realistically got beat by Ryu in physical clashes, but was kind of eating all of Ryu's regular hits. Mr. Highest output in history wasn't really doing big damage to Yuta Okkotsu until he started lifting out them blasts, dropping them bad boys. When he really got crazy with it. Yuta Okkotsu, he kind of a little bit bulky, if you know what I'm talking about. And once again, don't get me wrong, Sukuna's real bulky too. He a thicky boy, undeniably. But if these black flashes are sometimes struggling to make Sukuna flinch, what do you think those regular hits are doing? And once again, I made a whole video talking about this. A video that's highly contested. Apparently, I was shocked. But, well, actually, I wasn't too shocked. I know a lot of people want to give Yuji soul damage during negation. Yeah, once again, Yuta's not incarnated. Yuji's punches would have no extra special properties against them. So none of that Durnet could even come into play here. If it even exists, which I don't think it does. I legit don't. Once again, bring me a single panel that shows that Yuji is doing damage to Sukuna like Soul Split does. You can't. He's not. But with that being the case, that aside, Yuji kind of doesn't have anything to put Yuta down quickly enough. There are other characters in the verse, and by other characters, I literally mean this solely for the Kashimo fans and maybe the Kenjaku fans who want to bank heavily on a mini Uzumaki. There are some characters who have some extremely potent techniques that may be able to drill a hole in Yuta's head before he pops domain. Like, say, in an early interaction where, Yuta Okkotsu is, I don't know, just messing around a little bit outside his domain, like he was doing with Sukuna for a little bit, in 249, he was kind of playing with him a little bit, playing a little bit of patty cake before he really activated that domain. Kashimo could maybe put a couple charges on him, especially if he's a mythical fan of Beast Amber. It only takes like 3 hits for Kashimo to really get a charge off like that. Bada bing, bada boom, hits Yuta in the head, boom, it explodes. But that does lethal damage. I mean, Uzumaki, it tore straight through Yuki. If you think Yuki and Yuta are comparable in durability, they aren't. But let's just say they are. Maybe that could do something. Yuji has nothing like that. At least at this point, it's not even confirmed if he's unlocked the ability to use Piercing Blow on his own. Last time we saw him use it, that bad boy had to be lent that John. That bro could not pop out on his own. He still can't use Convergence very well. And while his potential has awakened, we haven't seen that. Even then, I don't think a Piercing Blow would be enough. Yuta Okkotsu has shown the ability to heal poisons of other people. Yuji's blood would be nothing special. And that's if Rika doesn't just stop him from doing it. Because remember, Yuji's still fighting a 2v1. And don't get me wrong, Yuji, extremely powerful. He's not beating Rika, though. He's also not doing any real permanent damage to Rika. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, what about that juicy, thick, scrumdiddly-umptious cleave? He could get all up in Yuta's guts and start tearing him apart. Yeah, once again, his output, at least for right now, is kind of booty meat. Cleave output. Maybe once he gets stronger, we can talk. Maybe once he gets some range on that bad boy, we can talk. But, yeah, I don't think it would work all too well. If he just does this, gets a little bit of damage off on him, not too much. Not too much. Not doing all too much. Yeah, it really ain't doing that. And once again, the very instant Yuji starts to pose any too bit close to something of a threat, that domain's coming out, and Yuji has no win cons. I'm sorry, he is nothing. He has nothing to get not domain diff by Yuta. Yuta's domain is perfect for people like Yuji. Yuta's domain is perfect for these Hollow Wicker Basket users, for these simple domain users. The only way Yuji's ever going to be able to beat Yuta is if we get a confirmation his stats are like Gojo level, one way or another. Like, he should have has Gojo tier or full power Sukuna tier stats, and he could literally rip Yuta's head off before he could activate domain, or during domain, or Yuji gets a domain of his own. Right now, it's still way too clear. All it takes is picking up the right katana. Because honestly, Yuji, he'll last. I'll give him credit. He's a bulky boy. He's an insanely bulky boy. Honestly, talking logistically, it would take Yuta a hot minute to wear that boy Yuji down. The fact that he ate this full Alpha Malevolent Shrine, even if it was for 10 seconds, is absolutely buku bonkers. He would undeniably eat a lot of thin icebreakers. He'd eat a lot of punches from Rika. A lot of slashes. Well, maybe not a lot of slashes, but a lot of cuts from Yuta. He'd eat a lot. He'd be nibbling. Not even nibbling. He'd be feasting on them hits. But Yuta's domain doesn't seem to have a time limit. Yuta's domain is infinite katanas. Yuta has a plethora of techniques that either actually negate durability, like Thin Icebreaker, that bypass one's reinforcement, and or all he needs to do, once again, is get Yuji to drop that simple domain. All it takes is that, because the moment that transpires, Yuji is fried with a side of fries. Rika may straight get to nibbling. No need for nothing else. That Jacob's Ladder is taking Yuji out this world. Maybe if he didn't need his siblings. Maybe if he got blood manipulation some other way. Maybe if he wasn't a Sukuna finger that walks, talks, and breathes, then maybe we could have a discussion. But all it takes is Jacob's Ladder. Heavens forbid Yuta starts switching up the sure hit. Imagine a sure hit of nothing but Thin Icebreakers. And then Yuta just randomly picks up, I don't know, let's say Jacob's Ladder and smacks Yuji with it. What's he supposed to do? Because the moment, once again, that simple domain drops, he's getting fried by Thin Icebreakers. Oh no, what happened? You mean Yuta Okkotsu decided to get absolutely devious and diabolical and whip out Shrine on Yuji's head? Oh yeah, sure. He'll resist it a little bit. But enough shrines imbued into a domain, it may not be Malevolent Shrine, but it'll get to cutting. It'll cut Yuji Itadori down to ribbons. And that's the big thing. If Yuta didn't have domain, and didn't have some of the craziest bulk in the series, remember, it's confirmed that Yuta's domain didn't fall because he was cut in half. Yuta's domain fell because he wanted it to fall, so Maki could come in and cook. Meaning Yuta can be literally bisected and not drop domain. And Yuji's not bisecting Yuta, not yet. Not even with Cleave, in my opinion. So Yuta's no slouch. Durability-wise, his domain is arguably the best in the entire series in terms of ability and sure hit effect in combination with each other, and Yuji just doesn't have the potency yet. You could argue a solid speed advantage, but he's not. The only win con I could see, I'll give Yuji fans one thing, the only win con I could see is Yuji blitzing over to Yuta, using his apparently relative to Sukuna tier stats, tearing the ring out of his hand, eating it, and then fighting a war of attrition. And just really trying to beat Yuta Rika. But even then, that's a war of attrition that Yuji may lose eventually, because all it takes is one. All it takes is one. One good hit leads to a domino effect. But, of course, in the end, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that Yuji clears Yuta? That I'm absolutely insane, buku bonkers for even declaring that our glorious, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious king, Yuji Itadori, would dare lose to that foreigner, disgusting, lower-level creature known as Yuta Okkotsu, who hasn't shown up in, what, like 7 chapters? Or, you think I'm right? That ultimately, while Yuji has come very far, has transcended to levels beyond levels, he simply has not reached the point of the man next to Satoru Gojo in unusual abilities. Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Please, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave Cursed MC. Cursed, like as in curse, MC. Main character in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have an application below where you can support me for as low as $1 Dalmonte, things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below if you want to make a one-time donation or a one-time video request. The link is down in the description. But now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Wakana Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, King Sukuna, NMA, Real Rare, and Paris Arnold. I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons, Super Gamer Q, Steron, Sean, Sammy, Oexian, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and Igneo. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members, Jay Warrior and Robbie Uchiha. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, China Doll 09. I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.